Hi, welcome to Flickering Myth Games Chat. I'm Alan Christian.
I'm Gerald James.
The biggest thing in gaming possibly ever happened yesterday. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
So far, honestly, if you would have asked me last year, it would be the ZeniMax purchase. But no, this is the biggest acquisition so far and biggest shakeup in gaming since, Sega decided they were getting out of the console business.
Yes, absolutely. If you don't know what we're talking about and you can't read titles on videos, or if this just, popped up on a cycle, we are talking about Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard. Bad for the games industry, Gerald?
Of course. Going into this, we only had maybe six major publishers.
Sure.
We're down to five.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bethesda was huge. Bethesda was a huge purchase, and we thought that might be the biggest acquisition Microsoft would ever make, because Bethesda was a big publisher and a big developer, but not like this.
No,
they were a tenth of what Activision was, which is why they bought them for they bought them for.
And essentially, Microsoft saw the ability to buy Activision on a fire sale. And I don't blame them for the acquisition, honestly. I don't.
No, it makes sense on every level. I've seen a lot of people be like, this was a bad time to buy them because they're going through a lot of stuff. It's like, if they weren't going through stuff, I don't think they'd be on the market.
Right. That's the point. They're only for sale because of what's happening. The shareholders were like, hey, we just want to make our money and get the hell out of here.
Yeah. And they're making a ton of it. If you don't know about the Activision Blizzard scandals, there's do a little bit of light reading. it's a lot, and we can't really get into it all here. But needless to say, Bobby Kotick, who is the CEO of the company, is not a good person, according to a lot of people. It's all, well, it's not all hearsay. He was admitted to some of the terrible stuff.
There's receipts.
There are receipts. What happens to him? What happens to him in this acquisition?
So he gets a chunk of that change to F on off forever.
Yes. That's exactly what's going to happen. They haven't said that, and I've seen a lot of people be like, they're keeping Bobby Kotick on. They're not. I promise you they are not.
The statement says that they're keeping him on because you cannot disrupt the shareholders by saying that this is going to happen whenever it's not even finalized yet.
Exactly. Especially when you don't have that authority to do that yet. And he wants to keep everything as where it is as possible while this deal is going through. The next year, it'll probably take a year. They've said that it'll probably be towards the end of Microsoft's next fiscal year, which is next June, I believe, June 2023. They said it should be done by then. You will see nothing but status quo at Activision from here to there, at least business-wise. Hopefully it's not, awful for the employees, as awful as it's been. Hopefully that's changing. But business-wise, as far as the business structure, you're going to see nothing but status quo until this is finalized. That's normal. There's a lot of legal wrangling to get through. They want their heads down. They want this to go through, and then you'll see shakeups. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of people be like, he's getting fired. He's getting fired. He's getting put on the beach with an ocean of money. He's not getting fired. Once you make so many people so much money, you don't actually experience repercussions. There's no justice, because that's the morality that we live by. Did you make a lot of people money? Whatever you do, you're going to be fine.
This is that golden parachute we heard so much about in 2008, if you were around for that debacle.
He is getting his golden parachute to a tropical island. He will be fine, but at least he will be out of people's hair.
Right.
So there's that.
So for Activision, this is nothing but a good thing.
Yes.
They're going to a company that there's going to be some scaling back because Activision Blizzard has so many studios that, of course, Microsoft's probably going to pare back some.
I can imagine that. I mean, Microsoft may not pare them back, but I imagine there's going to be a big restructuring. Like, I imagine every developer that is under Activision or Blizzard now is not going to be firmly in that structure. I don't think it's going to stay the way that Bethesda has stayed, where like id and Arcane and all of that is still structured under Bethesda and ZeniMax. I think that you're going to see a lot more separation.
And you have so many ancillary developers with Activision.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, they're not going to keep all of Sledgehammer and Infinity Ward and whatever the third group is that's just
Raven.
Call of Duty. Raven, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On that Call of Duty rotation. They're not all going to stick to the Call of Duty rotation. They're probably going to be broken up into like different parties or whatever.
Most likely, yeah.
I think the people still have jobs. So I don't see them shuttering any of those ancillary developers, but
I think people's jobs are are more secure now than they were just being under Activision. I don't think you're going to see the kind of routine layoffs under this. You probably will see some. I'm not saying that everybody is 100% okay, and this is nothing but a good thing for every single person in that structure. You might see some layoffs, but I mean, if you work at Activision, you were expecting layoffs anyway.
Right.
So it'll probably be better.
You have more job security now.
Yes.
As odd as that sounds.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they don't make a purchase like this and not want to keep a lot of that development force. Mm-hmm. That's just, there's just no reason. They didn't pay $70 billion just for IP because none of this IP is worth $70 billion. I think Call of Duty is on it's definitely on a decline, right? And that is going to be the biggest thing on the Activision side. Blizzard, of course, you have World of Warcraft. You still have your money on there, but even World of Warcraft is on a decline. Like that's, I mean,
yeah, and that's I would say that's in part to what's happening. Same with Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of kind of the climate,
but
I think that having that IP restructuring yet again and kind of being able to still do things with them is important. But all in all, I kind of disagree. I say that the money they spent here was for the library more than the development studios on a lot of them.
On a lot of them. I don't mean to say that this IP is valueless. It is definitely worth billions and billions. That's not that was not the point I was trying to make. I'm just saying I don't think you spend $70 billion just for this IP.
Right.
I think you're finding a lot of value in the actual company structure there, as opposed to just trying to buy Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and things like that.
And Candy Crush.
They might make it all back on Candy Crush.
Of that.
Honestly, I think Candy Crush was like, at least at one point, was the biggest moneymaker for Activision. Antitrust litigation. That's coming, right?
Absolutely. And I think this is an interesting case, kind of like we had when, because if you recall, before the merger of Sprint and T-Mobile, I think there was a proposed buyout of T-Mobile by AT&T. And they probably knew that something was going to happen on the antitrust side, and it did, but they wanted to test the waters. They wanted to poke the bear and see what they could get away with. I feel like that's what we're seeing here as well. I don't think this is going to get denied, though. I think there's too many reasons for them to say this doesn't create an antitrust, because you've still got the competition on the console side. And as much as I hate to say it, this is par for the course. Now, if we were down to just the big three and like Microsoft was just going to go out and buy Nintendo, then we would see the legal action swing their way. But I think they're going to win this one.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that it's going to go through. I don't think that antitrust violations are going to stop this at any point, but it will be looked into. I mean, if you look at it like AT&T has been a huge purchaser of things in the past few years. They bought DirecTV, that went through antitrust litigation. They bought Time Warner, that went through antitrust litigation. Usually, if you see huge companies like that buying other companies, especially when they're within the same industry, you get antitrust litigation. How Disney has avoided it, I have no idea. But this is, I mean, Activision's such a big part of the industry that to be gobbled up by an industry player, there's no way you're getting around that.
Right.
And yeah, I'm sure that they've had lawyers that are just like, I think we can do this legally. I think that this will be fine. That doesn't mean that they won't face face like a Federal Trade Commission investigation.
There will be the investigation. I just think they're going to win on it. But what comes of that investigation will be interesting.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah, I think so. Lastly, and the most important for us as consumers, what does this mean for the IP?
The biggest thing, and I don't know how far they're going to go with it because there's still going to have to be more that hasn't been made backwards compatible. Of course, Game Pass is going to look fantastic.
Yeah,
with the IP on there.
Yes.
Not to mention just being able to say, oh yeah, these games, Overwatch to the next Call of Duty, all of this is going to be available day and date on Game Pass. Looks freaking huge.
Yeah.
But where this is going to benefit the consumer more, in my opinion, at least people like me, is if they start bringing back some of the old IP, even if it's just to release it on Game Pass. If I could go back and play the Xbox version of Tenchu, oh my god.
Yeah.
I was going to say, aside from that, it's just you have to create value for the consumer. And my biggest fear, and this has always been the case with Game Pass, and every time they make an acquisition, what does this do for the price of Game Pass? They're going to have to jump it up eventually, right?
Sure, eventually. I think it'll stay reasonable. I don't think you'll see any more than $20 a month anytime in the near future. Right now it's $15 for Ultimate. I think you might see a jump to $20 in the next year or so. Maybe. I mean, they can eat the loss. They're Microsoft.
They're eating a lot of losses right now, though.
I know.
They're throwing out so much money for Game Pass, because don't for an instant think that this Activision purchase is for the console, for Xbox as a console. They don't care. They just want you to get a Game Pass.
Yeah. I mean, if that comes in the terms of playing on their hardware, all the better. But I mean, this is going to be just as much for Windows as it is Xbox.
And I'm telling you, with xCloud, it's going to be just as much for your damn Chromecast.
That's true. That's very true. xCloud is probably the best cloud service at the moment. Fairly good on a technical level. The technical level is great. But as far as content offered, untouchable.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. What would you say is the first best as cloud leader?
The new GeForce Now 3080 tier.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is on a technical level the best, and I love GeForce Now, but content wise, it's a cluster. Yeah. Whenever I first saw this, my immediate thought wasn't like, "What's the future of the games industry here? What's this? What's that?" I literally went, "Oh, they can re-release Heretic 2 and Wolfenstein 09 now," because those have been in legal and just like legal wrangling hell between Activision and id Software for decades. So just like, oh, that's resolved. I can play Heretic 2 again.
I mean, that's looking pretty low. You've got to look at the higher level IP.
Yeah, I know.
What if they re-release Guitar Hero Van Halen?
Oh no. But no, as far as the IP goes, honestly, I think that the value, like there's more value in Blizzard and some of that Blizzard IP than there is in like what the Activision stuff holds. I mean, Activision's sitting on a bunch of IP. Activision's actually sitting on a bunch of IP that can fill a lot of gaps that Microsoft has right now. Children's games, There's not a lot from Microsoft in the way of like children's games mascot characters. You have some, but not huge. They've never been huge in that department, which is why a lot of people always thought that they were going to buy Sega next. They'd be like, oh, we got Sonic the Hedgehog. Now you have Spyro and Crash Bandicoot,
which is so weird to think about.
Yeah.
Two PlayStation icons.
Yeah. Exactly. Right in the hands of Microsoft.
Part of me wonders if they would just sell them to Sony. It's like, we don't need them. We understand they're your guys.
Yeah.
Work over the money.
Yeah. No, I don't think I don't think so. But I mean, granted, they've had, let's revisit the elephant in the room that I don't think anybody's really been talking about. Everybody's like, oh, Microsoft handles this and that. Well, they still don't have the best track record with buying IP and utilizing it well.
You're absolutely right.
Because as I was thinking about that, I was like, well, they have they have Banjo Kazooie. It's like, no, what would they do with that? Exactly. Oh yeah, made it irrelevant.
Okay. It's like they bought Rare and it's like, go make motion control games for the Kinect.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
which I do in part feel like they're coming out of that phase. They're actually just, these studios now, they're like, go do what you want, because you've got people like Double Fine and Ninja Theory who are still out there just kind of doing their own crazy stuff.
But I would like to point out both of those studios that you mentioned, which I think have been handled well, as has Obsidian so far. Mm-hmm. But everything that has come out of those studios so far were things that they were working on before the purchase.
True.
So how development goes after that, I mean, Phil Spencer is not Don Matrick. I think that is the biggest takeaway from that, because I mean, he's the one that Don Matrick closed Ensemble Studios, so he could get a bigger bonus. Like, I think Phil Spencer is certainly better hands than that. So what would you look forward to? You're not exactly a Microsoft guy, so no. So I'm sure you will eventually get an Xbox, especially after this. You already had one at one point, one of the Series X at one point. You got rid of it. I'm sure another one is coming to your TV sometime soon.
Once the games hit, yeah, that'll happen.
What would you like to see out of this, as far as an acquisition, as far as the future of a franchise or IP or anything like that?
I would like for them to, if they're not going to use it, sell it. That's my main thing. Mm-hmm. Because with the studios that they have now, I can't say, oh, they've got someone in-house that would make a great Tenchu game, which to me is the biggest franchise from that. But at this point, I don't remember if Activision or From Software own the Tenchu license. It's weird.
Yeah.
But that's the main thing. Like, of all of the released games from Activision, I just cared about Tenchu. I, of course, love Tony Hawk, but Tony Hawk he's kick-flipped into the sunset. That's kind of
the thing. Yeah, the only good Tony Hawk stuff we've gotten in 10 years is 15 years, almost 20 years now, actually. I'm really thinking about it, have been the 1 and 2 remake. Right. Yeah. I don't know.
From that, like, I had my fun with Guitar Hero. I don't want it to come back.
No, we don't need that again.
Call of Duty is fine. I would like to see them expand the cycle on Call of Duty so that it's not just an annual thing and people can get hyped about a Call of Duty again.
Yeah, I would like them to get Raven out of the Call of Duty minds.
Right.
Just give one developer, maybe two.
Things like combine Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer and let them work on a game to come out in 3 years and have one team cycle through the DLC and such, and it's fine.
Yeah, you've acquired a ton of good developers who have been stuck doing repetitive garbage for 10 years. I mean, honestly, like I'd say, like, free Raven. Like, that's like, because Raven's was a hell of a studio, but I know the people that led Raven are long gone. Right. I don't know how many of the developers that made the really good things are still there. Like, who that worked on Soldier of Fortune is still hanging out making Call of Duty Black Ops 7. or whichever ones they make. Which ones do Raven do? I don't even remember.
I don't even know anymore. I've gotten so lost in their development cycle.
I'm looking forward to more out of some of the developers that have been gobbled up than I am specifically any IP, other than those two things that I mentioned that have been been locked up. Like re-releases that have been locked up in some legal hell for years is oddly my big takeaway from this, which is dumb, but there you go. That's who I am.
And yeah, again, it's nice for Microsoft to have this development studio, these teams at their disposal. But if they just keep churning out like similar games, then what's the point? You use this time to expand the portfolio.
Yeah, I think Activision, as evidenced by the fact that they were for sale, more so than just all of the terrible stuff that they were going through, I think you were already seeing the decline of a lot of this IP anyway. It certainly wasn't in the gutter. They weren't buying it. There's a reason they didn't buy it for rock bottom prices, but I do think Call of Duty was on the decline. I think a lot of things were just on the decline even before all of this scandal started happening. I mean, you just had a bunch of things be mishandled. You had Warcraft being mishandled. You have a lot. Blizzard was mishandling a lot of things. They mishandled Diablo and Warcraft, which were their biggest, their biggest IP outside of Overwatch. They haven't done anything with StarCraft in 15, 20 years. So you were already seeing some decline there, and Call of Duty is diminishing returns year by year. It just is.
Right. Anyway. And I mean, I understand that if people keep buying it, you're going to keep making it. That's understandable. But at this point, it hasn't justified itself, I don't think.
No.
Let them take some time off and come back with the Call of Duty.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Microsoft is, if they're good about anything, it is not devaluing IP. I mean, that obviously isn't 100% across the board. They have devalued things in the past, but at least recently, they do not drown you in things. They don't have the business model that Activision has had. So I can't imagine Activision continuing with the business model that they've done in the past. I just can't. I see more quality control. Doesn't mean everything's going to be great, but I see more quality control in the future.
Right.
So anything else to add to this?
I just real quick, just for fun speculation. How do you think Sony responds? Do they need to respond?
No, they absolutely do not need to respond. They don't need to go make a big purchase, but if they do, it's Square.
Yeah, it's Square. I was thinking about this last night. The only two that would make sense without them like just trying to swing something around would be Square or Sega.
Yeah. And to me, Sega's got jack shit. Sega's got Yakuza and Atlas.
I was going to say they've got Yakuza, Atlas, and Sonic.
Sonic is not a valuable IP. Sonic is a discount game. Sonic is like it's mid-tier. It's not AAA stuff. Like they literally released the last like full-fledged Sonic game at $40.
But there's the one with the open world.
That is not going to do anything for anyone. But yeah. I can see them buying Sega because I think Sega is a poorly run business and has been for 50 years. Like since the 70s. So I can see them buying Sega. Like honestly, every year that Sega is still around and independent, I'm like, how is this happening? Like, what are you doing?
But like you were saying though, honestly, even if you just look at Yakuza and Atlas,
yeah, that there's value there. There's enough value there.
That is because both of them have always been more centered towards Sony. And they've just recently, like Xbox threw a lot of money at them to get the Yakuzas on Game Pass, but those are leaving away now.
Yeah.
And as we saw, they're still like, you know what? We're going to keep Persona over here and let Nintendo keep the Shin Megumis.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't have a whole lot of love for Xbox.
Here's the thing though. Buying Sega in response to Microsoft buying Activision would be hilarious.
There's
no comparison there.
There's
buying
no proper
Square?
Response.
No, except buying EA.
I was going to say EA,
but that's not happening. That's not happening.
No.
I mean, I don't know if you'd have asked me a week ago if Microsoft was going to buy Activision. I would have said absolutely not. So I would
have paused for a second and been like, yeah, I could see it though, with the way the company is now.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I
thought they were done throwing around money with ZeniMax.
I did too. That was a chunk of money, and then we see like one of the biggest purchases in the history of business. Like,
yeah,
$70 billion is huge. That is huge.
How much did Disney pay for Star Wars?
$4 billion.
How much did they pay for Marvel?
Less than that.
Yeah.
Less than they paid for Star Wars, I promise.
And that's their company identity now.
Yeah.
And they got it for under 10 grand.
Yeah, it's I don't know. This is huge though. This is huge and weird, and I don't know. Is it exciting? I'm not excited.
It's frightening and exciting in the same way that, like, if I heard that nuclear war was breaking, I'd be like, yeah, that's exciting.
It's exciting, but maybe not in the way you think.
Not ideal, but yeah, I mean, I guess that does make things less boring because I'm ethanol.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we'll have to see how this plays out. Like I said, it's going to be a good year before we see any repercussions from this, before we see anything other than business as usual. But I'm looking forward to it.
I'll just put it this way, because this is our first video of the new year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
But this year is going to be one of the most interesting years in video games, period.
It is. It honestly, it has to be. Mm-hmm. It has to be, because we actually have to move a new generation forward. Mm-hmm. This has been the oddest console transition of all time.
And I mean, there's reasons.
There are reasons, but it's still odd.
Yeah.
Like, we have to move things forward. I've seen, I don't remember who it was. I wish I could remember who it was, but somebody said that it made the prediction that the Nintendo Switch is going to be the highest selling console of this year again. And that can't happen. That can't happen. Like, the new systems have to start moving numbers. They do. We have to see those move. There's going to be big shakeups this year. There just is. Nobody wants to continue to dally around in the previous generation. We're into the second year. We're a few months into the second year of Gen 9, and it's just I have felt no compelling reason to buy one. Even if I could find one, I don't care, like, I could have found one. I could have found a PS5 or an Xbox or a Series X by this point, and I haven't pursued it because there's been no reason. So yeah, we have to see
adopter syndrome.
Yeah.
So I don't regret my purchase, but you're right, there's not a whole lot there to sell you on it.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. This is going to be one of the most interesting years in gaming in a long time. Long time. So stay tuned here. We'll cover every bit of it as it comes out. For Flickering Myth Gaming, I'm Alan Christian.
I'm Gerald James.
We'll see you in the next one.